Why a woman who's accused of killing a Morehead State University graduate in a DUI crash is asking a judge to transfer her from a jail cell to a hospital bed.
Coming up, we'll take you to a Lexington preschool where more than $2,500 worth of landscaping and flowers was stolen over the weekend.
A young boy is sharing his story of how a delicate procedure helped cure his epilepsy.
This is WKYT News at 4:30.
Good afternoon on this Monday. Sam Dick and Amber Philpott reporting. A woman accused in a deadly crash was brought to court today on a stretcher.
Police say Sabra McCarty crashed into Sarah Cottle's car while under the influence 2 weeks ago in Rowan County. Cottle died after entering a plea. McCarty's attorneys had a request of their own. WKYT's Mark Barber explains in our top story at 4:30.
Sabra McCarty's attorney says she was arrested in the back of an ambulance last week. So instead of going to the hospital, she went to jail. McCarty's family says she has been sitting in her jail cell for 5 days without proper medical care. As McCarty was wheeled into the courtroom on a stretcher, her attorney said several of her vertebrae are crushed. Her heels are broken, her femur is broken. One of her arms is broken, and she has serious injuries to her internal organs. Her grandmother's worried about her health because she was told another inmate has been giving her medical care. McCarty's attorney is pushing to get her out of the Rowan County Detention Center and into a hospital. The judge denied his request to lower her $500,000 bond and is checking to see what the courts need to do to move her to a hospital. This morning, the 30-year-old's attorney entered a not guilty plea for her 2 charges of murder and wanton endangerment. According to an arrest citation, McCarty was under the influence when she crashed into a car on Highway 32 back on May 1st. Sarah Cottle, the driver of the other car, was killed. The 23-year-old graduated from Morehead State University last year. She was back in the area for the annual MSU Gala. The judge could decide if McCarty will be transferred from the detention center to a hospital when she's back in court for her next hearing next Tuesday. In Morehead, Mark Barber, WKYT.
We have put in a call to the jailer at the Rowan County Detention Center to ask about the medical care their inmates receive, but we are still waiting for an answer.
Thousands of dollars worth of landscaping was stolen over the weekend from a Lexington preschool, including flowers and bushes torn right out of the ground.
The Growing Together preschool in Lexington planted the new landscaping on Derby Day after getting a city grant. Our Mike Linden has more on the unusual theft.
After having planted brand new landscaping and flowers a little over a week ago, more than $2,500 worth of it has been stolen from a Lexington preschool.
School leaders from the Growing Together preschool in Lexington planted brand new landscaping on Derby Day. As of this morning, most of it was either ripped right out of the ground or missing. The nonprofit school had received a city grant for $2,500 in order to purchase the landscaping. School leaders say most of the flowers were stolen, along with 2 concrete benches, each of which weigh nearly 100 pounds apiece. Due to budgetary reasons, the school will be unable to replace the stolen landscaping.
I wouldn't know who would steal flowers from a preschool. I mean, it was a community effort. I mean, we even have a community garden that's free for people to use. Then they go and take our landscaping. I mean, it's kind of just bizarre.
School administrators are asking the community if they know anything in regards to the theft to contact the Lexington Police Department. In Lexington, Mike Linden, WKYT.
And Lexington police say they do not have any suspects at this time.
We are tracking the search for suspects in 2 overnight Lexington gas station robberies. The first happened at the Marathon on South Broadway. The second happened at the Shell at Nicholasville and Southland about 25 minutes later. In both cases, police say the gunman wore a hoodie and had his face covered. The search is on for the person who fired shots into a Lexington home. Police say several bullets hit a home on East 6th Street near MLK Boulevard just before midnight. 2 adults and 1 child were inside at the time. No one was hurt. Well, it's been another chilly spring day with a mix of sun and clouds through the afternoon hours.
But you know what is coming. Next chance of showers and storms right around the corner. Let's check in now with our chief meteorologist, Chris Bailey. Hi, Chris.
Hi, guys. Already raining into parts of the area right now, especially those folks Just to the south of Lexington, 4 live sky cams showing the overcast conditions throughout the region, those mid to upper 50s. You mentioned the fact that it's ugly. Yes, it is very ugly out there. That's basically our month of May so far in a nutshell. Defender Radar Network, a little band of rain that is fighting some very dry air out there right now. So only where you're seeing the dark green and the yellows, that's where it's actually getting down to the ground. Richmond, yep, we've got some rain. Parts of Nicholasville, south side of Lexington, at least with a few sprinkles. That extends back into Woodford County, Lawrenceburg into Anderson County, and toward the Louisville area. But look what is lurking to our west. Look at all that rain across parts of Missouri and southern Illinois. Guess where it's heading? Watch your future radar hour by hour and late evening into the overnight. If you'd like to hear some raindrops on the roof, this may be your kind of night as the rains become a little more widespread as the evening wears on. So another soggy setup. Some breaks, though, in the rain show up middle and end of the week, at least a few, and cooler than normal temperatures rolling on across the good old bluegrass state of Kentucky. When I come back in less than 10 minutes, we'll focus on rainfall totals that are impressive yet again through the coming weekend.
It was an unforgettable field trip for some Central Kentucky high school students. Drug court, jail, and the coroner's office. Just some of the stops Berea Community High School students made as part of a program to teach real-life lessons. Madison County's drug epidemic is even more reason, teacher Kathy Jones says, it's important for students to see the consequences of their actions.
I can teach it all day long in the classroom, and they just think, you know, that's just Miss Jones telling them. But when I can bring them out in the community and they can see that there are real consequences for behavior.
Amber's at the live desk now with our investigative reporter Miranda Combs with more on this story that they're working on for tonight at 6. Amber?
Sam, thank you. Talk about a field trip.
Right.
This is pretty incredible, but this is something they've been doing for quite some time.
They do it once a semester, so twice a year. The health teacher takes them on these trips. They start at the courthouse, usually go to drug court, then they go to jail, then they go to the coroner's office, and then the funeral home. And she says they do it in that progression on purpose because that's typically how it will start if you go down the road of drugs.
I have to imagine when you take these students in that is very overwhelming probably and just startling.
And it was interesting, right there you're seeing video at the coroner's office, and some of the students had to step aside because it hits close to home for a lot of them. One of the students told me that in the past 6 months, 3 of her family members have overdosed on heroin. The coroner says the same thing. A lot of times these kids will teach him something. That's how close they are. So he says he's sure not to sugarcoat anything when they come and visit his office.
And the parents seem to support this?
They do. Of course, there are some parents that when they get the note that this is going to happen, they decide to keep their students back. But that's like any field trip. But the teacher made the point, and we'll talk about this more at 6, that this is more than just a reality check for these kids. There's more offered here, and we'll talk about that at 6.
All right, you're going to walk us through it. We will. We'll see that tonight at 6. Sam?
Amber, thank you. More than 150,000 Kentuckians suffer from epilepsy, but 2 brain surgeries have given a 13-year-old from Lincoln County his life back. Michelle Chamberlain shows us.
13-year-old Joey Maggard is celebrating life today, a life that feels new. Joey seemed like a healthy child. He hit every milestone growing up, but at the age of 9, life changed.
I did not want them anymore. They were mean to me, so I didn't want them.
Joey experienced his first seizure. His second hit 6 months later. Joey was eventually diagnosed with epilepsy. His mom always anxious as to when Joey's next seizure would happen.
He would have between 20 and 30 a month. Everything that a normal kid does, you know, on a day-to-day basis, he wasn't allowed to do it. It was awful. I mean, it's helpless, and that's all you want to do is just, you know, help them and make him better, and I couldn't.
After taking 9 different medicines, it was determined Joey was medically resistant, making him a candidate for epilepsy surgery.
My mom was scared, but I'm like, do it.
It was this grid that was implanted on the surface of Joey's brain. It gave doctors an indication that there was no disruption of brain function in the area of the seizure, which gave doctors the go-ahead for Joey's second surgery. And it was that surgery that has kept Joey seizure-free since January.
After the surgery, I feel like I could just wake up and be happy for the rest of the day. Don't have to worry about anything.
Joey will finish up his 7th grade year next week in Lincoln County. He plans to kick off the summer by playing soccer once again. And his mom is grateful he gets to be a normal kid again.
It's great. It's a big relief because I'm not constantly worrying about when the next one's going to come.
In Lexington, Michelle Chamberlain, WKYT.
And get this, through all of this, Joey hopes to become a neurologist one day. We hope he makes it. We have a traffic alert to pass along to you now. A busy road in the heart of the University of Kentucky campus is shut down. It will stay that way for the next 2 months. Crews have closed Avenue of Champions, that's between Lexington Avenue and South Limestone, while they continue construction on UK's new $200 million student center. The sidewalk on the north side of the street will stay open during the road closure.
Britain's Queen a dreary Monday to start out our work week today.
But at least it's not raining.
Yep, that's a good point.
Yet, Chris Bailey, yet. All right?
Yeah, that may be about 3 seconds away from being done here at the station on Winchester Road, Lexington. A little light rain is out there, but it's not raining across the entire area. Getting at it with a little wave that is right on top of I-64 down the Mountain Parkway. That is zipping through here very, very quickly. It's fighting some dry air right now, but indeed, the leading edge of that from the Mountain Parkway, from around Campton back to the northwest toward Winchester, Lexington, getting in on the first drops right now. And that extends a little farther to the west. That's the first of several rounds of rain that I'm tracking over the course of the next 24 to 36 hours. Then a bigger rain event potentially for the end of the week. We'll talk more about that a little later on, but with rain coming into Lexington, let's see how that is impacting traffic. And if it is, here's Officer Don.
Got a couple of things happening. One is a crash at Manowar and Palumbo. That's a non-injury collision that has one lane of the outer loop of Manowar blocked at last look. There's also a crash at Nicholasville, an alumni outbound lane there, one lane blocked as well. Overall, drive times look decent to Nicholasville, 12 to 15 minutes, and it looks like to Winchester it's normal on the interstate on 64. Now back to you in the studio.
Officer Don, thank you. An unusual pet listing on Craigslist, and we'll show you what latched onto a woman's arm and wouldn't let go. It's the video that will have you talking. Take a look at this.
Seeing weird things up for sale on Craigslist is not all that uncommon, but it's not every day you see a listing for a pet bison. A Texas ranch owner listed a 1,000-pound, housebroken, that's very important, attention-loving bison for sale back in March. She says she reluctantly created the ad for her beloved bison named Bullet. After 2 months of searching, Bullet went to her new home this weekend. She'll live on a pasture with a couple of cows as her friends.
How does that thing fit in the house?
That's what she's...
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
How about this one? A beautiful day at a Florida beach turned somewhat chaotic for a 23-year-old woman. Witnesses say they saw the woman calmly coming out of the water with a shark attached to her arm. Authorities say it was a nearly 2-foot-long nursing shark. The ocean rescue captain said the attack was unusual because nursing sharks are usually docile. He said the woman had minor injuries and handled the whole thing very well. I saw a story this morning on CBS News. She actually had to go with that attached to her arm.
Really?
To the ER.
I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that. Gives going to the beach a whole new meaning.
Yeah.
All right, much more to come now. Stay with us here at 5 o'clock on WKYT.